Hello, everyone. We are live, and today is Thursday. Welcome to my awesome interviews on Thursday, and we have an awesome guest this week. Just before you meet my guest, however, let's just do a couple of housekeeping tips. If you're watching the replay, because you're going to be watching the replay, this is pre-recorded, so just tag in the comments where you're from. I love to know where everybody is from. As you know, I'm coming in from Mexico. My guest is coming in from Australia. The other thing that I'd like to caution you about is above this video, or perhaps it's below, there is a strip that's called StreamYard. If you want to interact with us, make comments, would you please click on that so that gives StreamYard permission to use your name? Otherwise, you will come across as Facebook user, and we will not know, especially if you're asking a question, we will not know how to address you to give you that answer. And if you simply want to react, then, send us lots of love because we love those hearts. Okay. So the next bit is always to let you know how my guest and I met. And of course, we met online. And I will repeat it one more time. And I know that I'm never tired of saying this. You meet the nicest people online. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said this, but my experience is so different today. So we met online. We actually have Tony Robbins as a mentor, both of us. So we met at one of his events. So without any further ado, I want you to meet my wonderful guest today. This is Tammy Richie. Hi, Tammy. How are you?
So nice to meet you. Hi, Lucy. And from wherever you are around this magical globe, thank you for tuning in and listening today.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Now, Tammy, I'm noticing that you have the same initials as Tony Robbins, TR.
Yes, definitely. And you know what else is what we have in common? We have the same birthday, not the
Oh,
same year, but we absolutely have the same birthday.
yeah.
Many common things with Tony Robbins for sure.
Oh, wow. So we're going to talk about this. First of all, I want to let's talk about you. I know that you wear lots of different hats. You're a wife. You're a mom of three. You're an entrepreneur just like me. You're a life mentor, a speaker, and most of all, you're a visionary. So I would like to talk about. I know that you are a senior leader for Tony Robbins and his events. But before we talk about that and how you got involved with Tony, could you give us a little bit of your background before you joined Tony as a senior leader?
Oh, absolutely. It'd be my absolute pleasure. So, who there around the world is a mum and has children or has someone in their life that they truly love?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me. So, many years ago, would be 16 years ago, we moved to the beautiful Gold Coast in Australia, which is on some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And we're very grateful. I was busy unpacking boxes. At the time, I was an aircraft maintenance engineer, and I was on maternity leave. And for the first time in my life, instead of being busy as I normally am, because I was the typical person that would be studying full time, working full time, trying to raise my children. This was going to be my last child. We'd made the decision. So with that time, I wanted to actually take time out and meditate, go to the beach, breathe, hug trees, and just, take time out and not be busy. And I really didn't know or understand the reasoning why. However, I just felt so compelled to that. So that's what I did. So moving forward, I was about due to go back to my engineering career. I was one of the first female engineers in that world. So I was a pioneer and I loved doing it. I did it for 17 years, but I was at the point of my life where it was no longer fulfilling me.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what to do next. It was my career. I earned a lot of money in that career and I was about to go back there. And then all of a sudden, we moved into our new home. I was unpacking boxes in our new home. Had my baby, who was just at 16 months, right beside me. He never used to go anywhere. My husband was at Bunnings getting child locks to make sure the house was safe and our other children were being looked after. The only little person that I had in my care that day was our little baby. I had boxes everywhere because I was unpacking. So I started hooking into those boxes, and as I kept on unpacking the boxes, I got this awful feeling in my heart, and I just couldn't believe it. It was such a compulsion. You know, it was like something that was pushing me, telling me. It was like my inner GPS, intuition that was pushing me, telling me to look up that something terrible was happening. And of course, I didn't want to believe it. My head was trying to tell me, look, everything is okay. Your little boy's going to be okay. As I looked up, I could not locate my little baby.
Oh my
and I thought, my goodness, where is he? And again, my head was trying to tell me it was okay. He'd be playing with toys. Maybe he's, painting the wall with my makeup. I was trying to dismiss it.
Right.
But I did not even know this at this time, but I was intuitively led. The heart is actually 16 times more powerful than the brain.
Correct.
And if we do the breath work and the mindfulness and the meditation, that illuminates this. And I didn't know the purpose why I was doing that before, but this I could not dismiss. So with that action, I knew where I needed to go. However, I didn't want to go. I knew that it had something to do with the pool, not because I could hear a splash or a scream, but I actually felt it. So with that in my mind, I went looking room after room, box after box, trying to locate my baby. I couldn't find him anywhere. I had to take those steps to the pool, and every parent's worst nightmare suddenly became my reality.
Oh, no.
Our little boy, our baby boy, was suddenly floating and unconscious in our backyard pool on my watch with the nappy on, shoes on, the whole bit. I could not believe it. How could this happen? And so quickly, I was trained in CPR, but never did I feel confident in it. I did it for the tick in the box, which is awful. But every time I had done my training in the past, I felt, yes, I've done this. I've got that for the tick in the box. Could I use it for real? Absolutely not. Now, all of a sudden, my little boy's floating. I'm screaming out, trying to get some attention from someone, from a neighbor, from someone in the family. The neighbors weren't home. My husband wasn't home. No one was around. So I had to pull myself together. I grabbed him out of the pool. He's lifeless in my arms. I'm running inside like a crazy woman, trying to call. In Australia, it's 000, which is emergency, on our phone. And the phone wasn't even connected. Because again, I assumed someone would have connected it. So one of my big lessons in my life has been to never, ever assume, because I assumed that. I assumed someone would test the pool gate fence, that I paid the money, but no one, tested the pool gate fence either. So I've all of a sudden got him in my arms and I've got these skills. I don't feel confident. No one else is around. And what I did was the thing that actually saved him. Because what I did is I breathed in deeply, so deeply that I got all out of this head and smashed the voice in my head. I tuned into my heart and I knew I had to do something, anything that didn't need to be perfect. And I want to ask your viewers, how often in life do we not do things? Do we not start programs? Do we not do anything? Because we're so scared that it's not perfect. We're waiting for the perfect time to launch our programs. Or, we're too worried or too fearful of what others think or say or do, whatever. I had no choice. This was a gift for me. Do you understand this? This is in my life. It's shown up to show me that I don't have the fears because I've got to do it anyway. So with that in my mind, I lay him down, got over myself, did something. It wasn't perfect. And 30 compressions, a couple of breaths, nothing happened. And then I had to do it again. So with that dedication and determination, because I never give up, I go over, under, around, or through, whatever it takes, I'm going to do, especially with my flesh and blood, especially the guilt that I felt. Like, how did he get there? How did he get in the pool? How was I feeling with him experiencing this? So I had to pull him. And once he started breathing, I could not believe it. And that changed my life forever. With that, I was then able to locate my mobile phone. And I called 000 in Australia, and they were quite amazing, but they did take 15 minutes to arrive. So I had to keep him alive until they turned up. And when they turned up, they expected the worst. So when they arrived and they turned up and they opened the door and they saw him and they saw that he was crying, they were overcome with emotion. And they stood there and they cried with me. And they went, oh, my goodness, this is amazing. This doesn't ever happen. We need to immerse you in the media. Your story is so, so powerful. We need to stir the souls of so many others, inspire them and show them what's possible in their own lives. And so with that knowledge, I did not go back to my engineering. I burnt my boats. Then I went, you know what? And remembering this is in 2007, so well before I met Tony Robbins, I was like, I have to give up my engineering, and I need to save the world. And did I know what I was doing? Absolutely not. Did I have time for a business plan? No way. But what I could see is I could see lives all around the world benefiting from the knowledge that I had, that I could share from personal experience to help others protect their loved ones and make this life count. And so that's what I did.
What a story. I'm touched. I'm so touched by you telling the story. I mean, every time you tell a story, of course, you're having to relive that story. So it must just be so frightful. But then the end of the story. So, oh my God. So how is your little boy today?
Oh, he is just the most amazing little boy. He's 17. He's in his final year of school. He's been here before. He knows exactly where he wants to go in his life. He absolutely is so grateful for education. He knows it's a tool to get him to where he needs to go. He's resourceful. He's been here before. I don't have to be concerned about him. And we have such a great, a close relationship. And like you mentioned, yes, I'm reliving the story, but my story, if you can understand, it is not poor me. It is not, it is a celebration of life. It is like, how grateful and how blessed am I to actually realize the importance of how precious life is, and to have my little boy and to be able to watch his milestones along the journey. Do you know, when we did commit to joining Tony Robbins some years later, my husband and I joined together, and in that, my husband, it came up later, and it was only in that world that it came up to say that he blamed me, because we can go through experiences and have a different perspective. All of us.
And never talk about it. Yeah.
I never talk about it. So I had no idea that, he was blaming me. He was, I felt guilty when he was sharing this story, and I'm like, what? I'm like, do you not have any empathy for what I'd been through, what I'd witnessed, what I'd experienced, what I had done? But no, he was angry. And I'm like, hey, listen, I didn't plan this. There's no way that I would have thought that he would have entered into the pool. But what I did do is I saved his life, and I celebrate that. And this is bigger than me. Do you know, when you have an incident like this is way bigger than us, This is not about me. So I had to burn my boats to save the world. And as I said, some people say, what was your business plan? Blah, blah, blah. Business plans, I don't have time to plan. Do you know, I'm a visionary. I see it as done. I see the lives affected, and I trust. And we had a conversation before about marketing. Do you know what? When I'm not even really marketing. I'm literally working on myself, raising the energy vibration up, and whoever I need comes to me effortlessly with grace and ease. And so that's what happened. The universities came, the media came, everyone came because they could see my story was powerful, and they wanted the most powerful person to deliver training and create products to help them.
That is such a story, Tammy. Thank you for sharing that. So you mentioned Tony. At what point did you? I know that you heard your husband's story and him asking you for what happened when you both joined Tony. But at what point did you decide to become a senior leader for Tony Robbins, and why did you want to become a senior leader for Tony Robbins?
As you can see, I'm quite emotional, right? Because when you find your tribe, you've got to hug them hard. Yeah. Do you know, the first time that my husband and I went to Tony Robbins is because we thought that, he's such a powerful speaker, beautiful change maker, transforms lives. He's not going to be able to do this forever. No. So when we decided to go, it was literally 2 weeks after I lost the closest person to me in my life, my dad. He was my adopted dad. He was my mum and my dad. And so it was one of these stirrings that we went, you know what, I need to go. I was led. And so what happened during that time, my husband's and my relationship was restored during that event, like 6-day event. I had no idea on day one that, you know, all of the traumas that I had been through and my focus and dedication to saving the world would be so disruptive in our family life because I had passion. So I learned masculine and feminine and, you know, the power of relationship. And so we both learned during that event, because on day one, my husband was about to leave me and he told me that, and I had no idea. This is 2 weeks after I'd lost my dad. And I was like, oh my goodness. And as you know, in a normal live event with Tony Robbins, we're not eating. It's cold environment. It's uncomfortable. It's inconvenient. It's like long hours. You know, you don't get to see your partner. And so we were literally immersed in this environment, listening to these other powerful stories where Tony was doing interventions, restoring the beauty and allowing them to come back together. And we were learning and growing during that time. And we learned after that the power and what we had and how precious that was, and it's worth saving. And so this is now, we're about to, this month in July, we've been married for 25 years, which is, you know, taken work, but, you know, we're together. And so when I was in that environment and I saw Tony speaking for the first time, I hadn't done a lot of research before I'd been. And I was like, oh my goodness, this guy, I can relate to him because yes, he's got amazing stories, but as he's sharing his stories, I was an abandoned child when I first entered this world and spent my first 6 months in a hospital. With the baby not having any kind of love or nurturing, we perish. And so against all odds, that was where I overcame my first grieving process and learned all the strength and resilience that I gained. And during my journey, it hasn't been through my childhood. It's been tough, just like Tony. And Tony shares that. And I love how he says, you know, he created this person. He says it in more different languages.
But he created the man he is today. Absolutely. Yes.
Exactly. And because if any two people could have met, I had done exactly what he is doing. So when he's sharing his stories, I could relate because I'd been through similar stories. I'd achieved similar outcomes. I had similar techniques and skills that I was using my whole life. So I felt at home with him. And so I knew that at that first event, we went to Date with Destiny, which is one of his premier events. We didn't make our way to UPW first, which was a lower one. We went straight to the top. And with that, my husband said, your dad would have, remembering I'd lost my dad 2 weeks before, and he said, your dad would want you to do this, to become a leader for Tony Robbins. And I just knew it. And so, you know, I did it, and this is my tribe, and I've traveled the world. I've done, before COVID happened, you know, participating, crewing, serving, and I just knew that I had to be on this path. I can really relate to Tony, and I find, I don't know about you, Lucy, but when you do events and you serve without, from a place without any expectations, and you just, you know, pouring love into people and helping them transform their lives and break through limiting beliefs.
It's most fulfilling. Yeah.
Yes. And so what happens is afterwards, I come out of that and synchronicities just flow in. I meet people that I'm meant to meet, whether or not it's at Tony Robbins events or it's just anywhere, because I'm in this high energy vibe. And so I absolutely love, you know, and I love the commitment of doing that and stirring the soul of others. And I do believe I have a lot of wisdom to be able to give and to be able to allow people to enhance the skills that we're taught.
Right. Can you relate a specific moment maybe or an event with Tony that really kind of had a profound impact on you? I know that, you know, when you saw him, when you saw what he was doing, you knew that you had to follow this man. He spoke to you. He was a brother, you know. But you know, was there a special moment that really had a profound impact on your perspective and your approach to life?
Absolutely. Because, you know, having a big mission, you can, you can just literally, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't resting. I was living in this vigilant state. Time was no essence. I have this big purpose. And so a lot of the things in my life, I guess, with my husband was feeling left out. Basically, he still loved me, but he was thinking that, I'm too busy to love him. And so being at that event the first time, seeing Tony and Tony doing interventions on people with their relationships, literally on the day one, when my husband was like, I'm planning my escape. I was like, where are you escaping to? Do you know what I mean? I was that naive. I had no idea that, that he was affected. And so it was so awesome, because what it could do for me to bring me back down, to ground me, to show me what was important. And Lisa Nichols is one of my was my speaker coach. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Yeah, Lisa Nichols, of course. Oh my God.
Yeah. So she was my coach for a couple of years, and I just love her immensely. I learned from her to share the stories, to bring the emotion, to take the people on the journey, to share, what you've learned and all of this. But what she said to me is, Tam, I go home of an evening to an empty home. And that really hit home to me, because what happened is I was at Date with Destiny, right?
Right.
It was like I'm in this delusional spin. I'm thinking my husband's leaving me. I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. It's cold. And then straight from there, I had to do Lisa Nichols' event, right? She'd come to Australia. So this was Date with Destiny, 6 days. And then I think it was 5 days with Lisa.
And we're talking about 10, 14-hour days, I know.
Yes. So literally Tony and then Lisa, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
she'd come to Australia. And so I was like, oh my goodness, how can I go to this event with Lisa when I should be rescuing my marriage, right? Because we still hadn't had time to think about it. We hadn't had time to discuss it, because we've been at Tony's event. And then I thought, I need to do this, because when is she going to come back to Australia? I'd committed a lot of time and money, so I need to actually be there at that event. And also, if he's already made the decision to leave, I need to have something for me and my family, for my children. And so I decided to go. And so with that, I still hadn't discussed with my husband what was going on. I was focused at that event. And when I'm at an event, I focus. I literally give my all, and I pick up and I learn a lot. So I had done that. Following straight from there, I had to go to Bali, and I had to run a retreat with 40 ladies in Bali.
I'm going on retreat on a pilgrimage in 2 weeks with 6
I know, and I'm going to be there too. And hopefully we'll be able to see each other there. But I was like, I felt such a fake, because I'm like, how can I be running this? I don't even know what's going on at home. But I did it anyway. And it was after coming home, after we'd had the space, because I want you viewers to understand that we don't have to have everything all lined up. Space is where the magic is. Right. Space gives us that breathing space to be able to see what is important. So it allowed us to integrate all the things that Tony was talking about, with the feminine, with the masculine. And for me, I thought I had to be masculine, because I thought I had to have it all together. As a female in a male-dominated world, as an engineer that I was, raising children as well, I had to have an organized ship, right, in my life. And then because I then had all of a sudden was thrust into this business in the media, and, I had to have it all together, and everything had to be organized. But just actually having my husband and reconnect and realizing that I don't need to have it together. What if I could just be and breathe and come into my feminine and allow him the space to make decisions? Right. Do you know what I mean? And turn the candles on, have flowers, have baths, and just take those heavy weights off.
Did that work?
It was so fulfilling for me, yes. And it was so amazing for him. And even though I'm in business, he doesn't need to know everything I'm doing. He just wants me to be happy. So we could just sit on the couch and do what men love to do and fire gaze and watch TV. And he's happy for that. And that's all he wants me to do.
And we learned that from Tony so much, the feminine and masculine, and he addresses the audience all the time, right? men just want to respect, and they want their wives to be happy, right, men? And I mean, he gets a big yes from the audience, and it's unbelievable. So I wanted, your story is just so fascinating, Tammy. How do you take Tony's teachings and the principles that and work them into your own work now, and your mission to inspire and to empower others, because you are on a mission for sure.
Absolutely. And I love that. And because I am in this environment, I'm surrounded by the world's best. I mean, this is
You
just
are.
incredible. It's such an incredible environment to be in. And so I burnt my boats again, and I've done it several times. So not only did I give up the engineering to create a training academy, people then wanted to know, well, how did you do that? So then all of those skills became important, like how I gave up the engineering, doing all the breath work, the inner work, which is the most important thing, running retreats. I was doing all of those things. And I'm getting all of my energy from being in the Tony environment. So I'm coming back from that. I'm already teaching what I'm doing, but I'm getting energized by being in that environment and by giving effortlessly, giving without any expectations. So that was all happening. So what actually I noticed is along my journey, I was like creating products. I was really innovative and creating incredible products where others can avoid the pain that I'd been through. And that was fantastic. And then people were coming without asking, and I was kind of mentoring them and teaching them that, yes, they might have a service business, but they can also create products. So I had all these products, and we were like, where are we going to put them? As an entrepreneur, you feel like you're putting your hand in your pocket, paying for this, paying for that. But actually, we need to be creating income. So I kind of flipped it on its head. And as a visionary, I went, wait, I could put my product on, and I did have one of my products in one of the department stores here in Australia, and everyone would think it was a success. However, I just assumed, again, never assume, that the company would market for me, in which they didn't. So my product was sitting on the shelves. Perfectly good product, incredible solution for drowning. The drowning statistics were getting up out of control. And so therefore it didn't make sense to me. So I needed to create something that I could showcase the products and not have to put my hand in my pocket all the time and make a difference. And I'm happy to pay a small commission in exchange for that. Now, I saw that as a vision, and I meditated on it for 18 months. Stirred my soul. I had it so clear. I knew exactly what was going on. I just had no idea how to do it. So I am the queen of manifesting.
You are the manifesting queen. I think I read that on your Facebook group.
Yes. And so with that feeling in my mind, remembering that if we can send the energy not to the thought, but the feeling is so powerful. And act as if it's already done, right? So I could see it, I could see, hear, and feel. And so I surrendered to the universe, and the rest is history. Divine sent the person to me that helped me bring my vision to life, which is now my current business partner. He has all the skills that I needed to bring my vision to life. So he's IT, online marketing, computer programming. I give him some doozies, and he just says yes, and he just does for me, because he knows for me, my skills he lacks. So I'm a people person, I'm a manifesting connections queen. Like, for people come to me with all sorts of requests, and I can connect them up. It's just one of those gifts. So having all of those gifts and those attributes is quite powerful with what he's doing. And like for me, it just allows me to breathe, to have that trust, to know that he can actually create the things for me and market and help on other entrepreneurs like myself get their products, services, online training out to the world. And it did begin just with online training, because we created this just before COVID. We had no idea COVID was going to exist.
Very timely. Yeah.
Yes. And so it was the most perfect time. Parts here in Australia, they were closed down. No one was allowed out. So it became like incredible vessel. So that's how we grew so huge. Plus also the influence that I have from other speakers around the world that could see our mission and could see that they could also benefit by joining and as affiliates and stuff like that. So we grew big. And so now with COVID kind of settling down, we can go back to that live events, right? So all of these
Right.
people who've got online training, we can now all of a sudden bring them to the world and bring retreats. So as a speaker like yourself, Lucy, right, I'm sure you've got incredible value, and you could bring join retreats and bring your own power to those retreats. However, if you're going to run a retreat, sometimes the most difficult thing is the marketing, because you're not so great at that. You're so great at what you do. If you can go and you can inspire and stir the souls of the individuals, the participants, and liven them up, that's amazing. But the whole thing is trying to find the people. So
Exactly.
that's what we bring. We have the people. We have millions of people, in fact, that are desperate to get this knowledge, to continue to learn and continue to work on themselves and to benefit. And so we have that. So with our entrepreneurs, with the speaking program that we have, the platform, not only do they have their online programs that they can sell online, but then they can also go to the live events as well and go in there and meet people that they're probably never going to meet, connect with other incredible entrepreneurs that are doing incredible things around different parts of the world. And so we're about to bring that to the world as well. So again, I just surrendered, let go. I allowed divine to flow in. I totally believe that we're all chosen to be here. Against all odds, I survived, and definitely I have a big mission on my life. This is not about me, but having that trust, faith to follow the divine guidance that comes into my heart. And my primary question, just so you know, and some of you viewers might not know what your primary question is, but in the Tony Robbins world, we actually have a primary question that actually allows more energy to be drawn. So for me, my primary question is, how can I open my heart even more right now? Because it covers so much to bring the people to me, the best people and the best resources to come into my life. So to guide me, to align with me, and for me to help. And I'm open to being rewarded for the value that I offer to this world.
That is so wonderful. I took the Destiny with Tony. I think it was November 22. So, and I remember changing my whole triad, my whole primary question. Also, it was very, very powerful. And so this year, I've dedicated my to finding my soulmate, because at my age, I just I just want another 30 years of just intimacy and sharing with a partner, because I do single well.
Yeah.
I have not been doing relationships so well, but I feel that I am ready. I've been on a personal journey like you for a
Wow.
long, long time, and so, and I work with a team of people, and we actually do. We actually take a lot of our members are from Tony and Dean's Progress Next, and what we do is really we work with small groups. We hold them by the hand, and we help them launch organically, online with. Using Facebook, because why pay the money until you have your clients? But we go through the whole steps that Tony and Dean do. I mean, we have modeled them all along. There's no better program than theirs, as far as I'm concerned, and we've had great success. And now we're at a point where some of our people are ready to automate, so that's where we are. So we're very, very excited about what we're doing too. And everything's a process.
Yes,
You know,
definitely. But
and my
there's also opportunities everywhere to collaborate, because it's if you feel you can do everything yourself, it's like, you know what, coming together for community and connection is so powerful to be
it
able to
is.
make more of an impact in the world as well.
It is.
Yes.
I want to ask you, what advice would you give to, Tony Robbins and Dean Graciosi's fans who are looking to make a significant positive change in their lives, just like you, but they feel stuck or unsure where to start? I mean, what people come to us because they don't know where to start or whom to trust, and knowing that we model Dean and Tony, then they do have some trust, and we show them how to start, and we take them from where they are to where they want to go. So, but sometimes they get stuck along the way. What
And do you know what that is? And what happens is fear kicks in. What's our two fears that we have in our life? Do you know, there's not just two, but fear of success sometimes, fear of fitting in. There's all of these different fears, fear of being on their own. So basically, we need to strip it back and go back to what would happen if we just surrendered and just took that deep breath and, just 4 square breathing every day, that opened this heart even more and just had that trust. A lot of people are afraid of that next step of what will people say, they're afraid of their community and everything. But they need to remember that this is the one life. We only have one life. What would they like at the end of their life? What would their eulogy be? What would people be saying about them? Now, that's easier said than done. A really powerful way to do this is to work out what is it and what is the fear? What is the pain? And what is the pleasure? Once we can actually redefine the pain, we can use the leverage to propel us into what is it that we desire. Mm-hmm. When we know what we desire, if time and money was not an object, and we could be doing whatever we wanted on our daily basis with whomever, living life on our terms, what would that be? And we need to be reminded to focus on that and to just surrender and let go. And what if you could just breathe every single day, take just a few minutes to dream, and put the energy to seeing, hearing, and feeling and acting as if. I used to run a course here. It's such a powerful workshop, and I'd run it here on the Gold Coast. We live on a beautiful beaches. We've got Versace, Sheraton. Anyway, it was called Living Your High Life. And during COVID times, it was a bit tricky to continue to run it because of everything shutting down. But I'm reminded that I need to bring it back, because what it was is people would come with their fears. They would literally come. And I would just annihilate those fears. So I would actually get them onto the red carpet. I'd get them to dream, and I'd set them in that for the whole day. So whatever they were 5 years into the future, if time and money wasn't an object, they'd be set for the day.
Right.
Then
the time machine. Yeah.
I'd put them on a cruise. We'd be living, and if they reverted back to their former self, they were fine for this. So they actually stayed in that for the whole day. And then we went for nice lunch, and then we went for day spa. 3 months later, I'm getting these testimonials, because it allowed them to bring back that childlike play, that make believe. Remember when we were young and we'd grow up and we'd put our mum's beads on and the high heels and we'd just play for the day, and the energy and the feeling that we had from that. These people are actually playing for their real life of what they want to achieve, if they didn't care what people thought or said. We need to actually remind ourselves who we surround ourselves with, we become. So don't worry about the naysayers. Just remember, our life is our journey, and it's not about us, but more so the impact that we can make in this world.
Exactly. Listen, Tammy, I know how busy you are, and I know how late it is in Australia right now. In the tickler, if any of people in my audience would like to touch base with you, is this where they can go? It says First Aid, www.firstaid. What DYU can too.
You can too. Yeah. Okay. And then yucan2.com.au.
Okay.
Also, there's another one that is the Avatar Collective. That's the online marketplace. So it's the Avatar Collective.
So what I'm going to do after this video is put all that information in the comments below, so that people can know how to touch base with you, and we'll go from there. So if there are any questions, that you have, dear audience, just, put them in the comments, and either I'll get back to you or Tammy will get back to you. And that way you'll be able to touch base with Tammy. So Tammy, thank you very much for your time today. It's been an honor to know you, and let's do this again, because you have so many wonderful, inspiring stories that, I just, I want to hear them all. So let's do this again.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for organizing it. And I know that you're going to have a beautiful day today. And I know it's early morning for you, late evening morning. And I just love, yes, as you mentioned earlier, the beautiful connections that we have from meeting online. And hopefully we'll be able to see each other in a couple of weeks, because we're both going to be in Bali. Can you even believe it?
Isn't that, well, we need to work on that. Okay. So let's you and I talk at least for coffee or something. Wouldn't that be wild? Woo-hoo-hoo. I love the idea.
Definitely,
Thank you so very much. Bye for now. Bye, everyone. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.